Welcome back to the channel, good friends. Brian from Apex Detail. If you're a fan of Corvettes like I am, the name Mero may be familiar to you. He is the engineer, designer of the magnetic ride control for Corvettes, C6, C7s. And he retired a couple years ago doing his own thing, and that includes customizing the magnetic ride control boards, kind of giving you the best of both worlds. Keeping the stiffness of sport mode, yet letting those shocks absorb small bumps to keep the tire on the road, if that makes sense. That's kind of a synopsis of what that he can do for you. What is magnetic ride control? That is pretty much a video on its own. There's a lot included. I can give you a quick overview of what it is. If this was the shock tower, and you have the rod going down, the piston would be more like a coil. The oil is filled with metal particles, and you have these holes going down through the piston or the coil where fluid travels up and down as the car goes over bumps. There's a charge set to the coil or the piston, and that lines up the magnetic or the metal particles in the oil, lines them up, and then it's harder for the oil or the fluid to flow through, and that keeps it stiff. And that's what magnetic ride control does, and he has customized a way to give you the stiff sport, yet absorption of some bumps to give you a nice, comfortable, but sporty ride. Hope that makes sense. So we have one of his boards here today. We will be installing on the C6 Zr1. Let's get this started. This here is the magnetic ride control unit for a Zr1. They have it for Z06, Grand Sport, and some other ones, I believe. And this one here happens to be 325. There is a core charge, so the one I take off, we will be sending back to them. Today we're working on this absolutely beautiful Zr1 Corvette. This is a C6, and the magnetic ride control unit itself is right inside the fender right here. So I will show you step by step how we can get to it and swap out the units. Pop the hood. Let's take out these T15s right here on top of the fender. All of them from front to back, and then we will take out the 932 on this side of the bumper because we have to pop that up. There's a clip right there as well, and another T15 under that. Under the plastic cowl for the wipers, just have to lift that up. There's one more T15 hiding under that. Pull the weather stripping and the seal for the hood forward, remove the clip. You can lift the cowl and get to that T15. The only adjustment for the fender is towards or away from the hood. So if you want to trace where the fender is originally, go ahead and do that. If it makes you feel more comfortable, do that before you remove all of the screws and remove the fender itself. When you're finished at the end of the day and you have everything lined up, that will wipe off with multi-purpose cleaner easily. With the two 932s removed on the passenger side of the bumper, it will lift up on the corner of the bumper there. There's a clip that will lift it up high enough that you can get yet one more T15 for the fender. Next, elevate the passenger side of the Vette, remove the wheel, because we're going to have to remove the inner lining of the inner fender well, both front and back pieces. With that piece out of the way, we can then reach the 10mm nuts. That'll be 3 of those that anchor down the front of the fender. Removing the rear section of the inner fender well liner, you can get that bolt right there. That's a 9/32. And with that removed, we can peel back the fender just far enough to get to the ECU. That's the engine control unit. And right behind that is your magnetic ride control board. As you can see there, right below the ECU, there are two 10mm bolts. They have to be removed. Gently pull the ECU away from its base and let it hang there. And then we can slide out the magnetic ride control from its base. It's secured in a couple clamps. And then we can pull the harness away from it and swap out the unit. Out with the old, in with the new, and from there we simply reverse the whole process. That's all there is to it. This is plug and play. There's no resetting whatsoever. Back the vehicle out, take it for a short test drive, make sure everything is working properly, and you're good to hand it off to the customer. Finishing touches, and that will put a close to this video. If you're looking to get it done and you're in my area, look me up, or if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. This has been Brian from Apex Detail. I love you all. Catch you in the next video.